The Krogan is in no position to make demands.
The Krogan has a name. Erdnot Rex. I'll tell you what I need. A cure for the genophage.
Shepard, excellent timing. Good to have you here. Had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong.
Are you here to kill me?
You're the future of the Krogan race. I'm fighting for that.
Then I hope you brought an army.
Careful. There goes the next Shadow Broker.
Could have sworn he was muttering to Sony the whole time.
Not funny.
Hello once again, and welcome to another round of Arbitration Studios as we wheel and deal across the whole damn thing of the Mass Effect trilogy. I'm JP Arbiter.
And I'm Captain Jack.
And we have a couple of things to go. First off, I wanted to start off a little bit inside the flashback. Normally I end the flashback and we start, just because I want to see this. Or not Bakara taking a claymore and double tapping people.
It's a beautiful scene, and honestly...
And that's even before she fires the big-ass gun.
Very true. And honestly, look, I love me some Rex. Everybody knows I love me some Rex.
You love Krogan in general.
I love Krogan in general, I do. But if anyone was going to have Rex other than me, she is a perfectly acceptable...
Well, apparently a lot of female Krogan get Rex. He tries to sire half a Tachanka.
Hey, look, you know...
So we get the immediate aftermath, and just to refresh on this, we saved the genophage data on this, and the thing is that in the decision tree of Mass Effect, if you save the genophage data, unless you royally fuck up some related missions, Bakara will survive.
Right.
That is necessary for Bakara to live. If Bakara lives and Rex is in charge, the Krogan will undergo a cultural renaissance at the end of the Reaper War. If Bakara lives and Rex was not head of the Krogan clans in Mass Effect 3, either because he never recruited him or because he killed him on Vermeer, you monster,
I don't like to think about that.
Then there won't be a cultural revolution, but there will be a detente because basically Bakara will lead a feminist revolution on Tuchanka because they're sick and because she and thus they are sick and fucking tired of the men fucking things up.
Hey, look, you know, I can understand that.
But if you destroy the data, Bakara will die, and if you and then at that point, Rex can kind of keep a lid on the Krogan without her. But if you end up with Erdnot Reeve, and why would you?
Exactly. What kind of animal are you?
I did precisely one playthrough where I did this. I call it my evil Sith bitch playthrough. And so like then Reeve just like we basically will wind up with the second Krogan rebellions in the aftermath of 3.
Absolutely, and that's best to be avoided.
You said one of your ships had gone missing.
You know, it's so the game does a really good job, I think, of having your decisions kind of stay with the game throughout the game, so that you're reminded, oh, I did make that choice. I did do that. I did, you know, go that direction or this direction.
And the thing is on the long arc of things, and this will come up later on in this video, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the arc of Mass Effect 3, like Knights of the Old Republic, another BioWare game.
Yes.
That actively punished you for following a dark side path.
Yes, it did.
You had a lot of short-term gains as you followed the dark side path, but in the long term, the game was harder.
Yes.
But Mass Effect 3 was really good because the Paragon and the Renegade route didn't matter so much, but on the long arc of the trilogy, you couldn't be wishy-washy. You had to be consistent on the big stuff.
Yes.
If you were roughly Renegade, but you had a little bit of a heart for orphans and widows, that's fine. But
or if you were completely Paragon, but you solved all of your problems with fisting. I mean, you know.
Well, that's what we do. We are space Jesus, but we punch people.
Exactly.
Because we're Agatha goddamn Fisty. We're the baddest bitch in the galaxy.
And always be fisting.
Always be fisting. So anyway, we've got we're in a situation, narratively speaking, where we are getting ready to go to Tachanka and cure the genophage, but we got these two little side missions, and we're going to do one of them today, and our next video will be the other one. The one today is, we are going to pair up with a team of Rex's handpicked special forces who are sniffing around the Rachni relay because they're starting to get rumors that Rachni are abroad, which is kind of odd because last time I checked, we melted the face of the last living Rachni queen, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We sent her to whatever the Rachni afterlife is. I don't know what it is, but that's where we sent her. I'm a firm, and I will tell you, between you and me, I am a firm believer that the Rachni are a step too far. To me, the Rachni, like, I am a man who I love me some Krogan, and we all know I love me some Krogan. I love all of.
Okay, so this is about Rachni are a step too far in terms of alien species that you'd have sex with.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm sorry,
That is exactly it. That is where I was going.
I was thinking that it was a step too far in terms of video game narrative and choices that you make, but
Oh Lord, no. This is look.
you tend to follow
all-
the Star Trek ideal almost to a T.
I do. We all know that the point of Mass Effect is to bang your way across the galaxy.
I did the math, and I think it's across Shepard's story. You can sleep with up to 6 different people.
Which is really not that much, honestly.
I mean, you've got the Asari consort.
Right.
You've got your romance option in 1.
Yes.
You have your romance option in 2,
Correct.
Kelly Chambers.
Correct.
You have your romance option in 3,
Correct.
which can be different than 1 or 2.
Exactly.
And then you can bang the reporter
That is correct.
and get away with it, but only if your primary romance option was someone aside from Liara.
Yes.
Liara finds out,
Yes. Absolutely. Now,
which is why we will not be banging Diana Allers in 3.
indeed. Now I have heard rumor of a threesome. I'm just saying.
There-
I have heard rumor of it. I have never seen it. I have never played through it.
You can in 1 you can broach the topic of a threesome when Liara and whoever the human that you have potential for confront you, saying you have to choose, and you can say, "Can't I have both?" And they both go, "Ew, no."
I had heard the rumor, and it was about 2, but I will take your judgment on it. I will say I will believe you if you tell me that it is not true. However, I do think that the Rachni are a step too far. That's not to say that I don't. I often, most of the time when I do my playthrough, I actually save the Rachni, and I don't wipe them out because, well, I think having
For you, it's that Star Trek ideology that I mentioned: infinite diversity, infinite combinations.
Yep.
Here's something fascinating, just to change the subject. We've got Allers, our journalist, and a crewman talking about what really amounts to journalistic neutrality, which is a myth.
and should be a myth.
Journalistic neutrality was created to sell more newspapers.
Yep.
That's all it was. Now,
Stand down, yeoman.
my perspective, Allers is already under an agreement that everything that she broadcasts has to go through Shepard.
Which is a common
Yeah.
military with news folks that are in
Yeah, the chain of command that you are attached to at the time has final say over what you do and do not broadcast, subject to all the normal classification rules and whatnot.
Yeah, that's common.
So that's why, and it's with that understanding why I will always tell that soldier to step down.
Yeah.
The other side of it is that he has a personal stake in it because the planet in question was his home planet.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm absolutely sympathetic to it, but really, don't fucking gripe about doing your job. And well, how come she can say whatever she wants and no one gets to pick the other side? First off, that's for other journalists and other commentators, because Allers has her own show. It's her show. She decides what goes on it or not,
Exactly.
subject to our whims.
Right. And we are nothing if not whimsical. However, when it comes to news and it comes to reporters and stuff, my take is that it is not their job to be neutral. It is not their job to show both sides. It is their job to tell us that it's raining. It is not their job to tell us, hey, they say it's not raining. They say it is raining. It is their job to tell us.
I go outside, I come back wet, and it's not because of your ex-wife.
Exactly.
Therefore, it's raining.
Exactly. And that, I think, is what journalists are for. And I think that the more boring they are, the more accurate they are.
Yep.
So
to move on to another thing here, since we're kind of on the same, we're on the same page, but from different sides.
exactly.
So we got Steve here.
Oh yes.
He first off,
Steve.
he says that he gets his sleep because flying tired is worse than flying drunk, which is absolutely true.
Nope. Yep. No.
But
Absolutely.
he is clearly dealing with some post-traumatic stress, and he copes with it by overworking himself.
Uh-huh.
And so first off, I don't believe that you're getting your sleep. I can understand the impulse to drown yourself in work, though, when you're overstressed, because, oh boy, did I have a bad 2024.
Indeed. So, and I don't mean to, because you're saying something right now, and I don't mean to interrupt, and I feel...
Oh, by all the...
There is something that they did in all of the BioWare game, or in all of the Mass Effect games, that I truly, truly love, and I truly thought was beautiful, and that is...
Any updates, Shepard?
When you're out in space, they actually made it... they didn't have to make it stunning like that. They didn't have to try...
Oh, you're talking about the nebulas and whatnot?
Just space in general, when you're flying through space in this game and the other games, they didn't have to make it like they, and I don't think they did, because I think it's impossible to, but I think that they were trying to get a little, just a piece of the beauty and awe that space.
Well, they used images from the Kepler program to generate the background images, which is why they're all from a Terran-centric perspective, even though they wouldn't be.
Right, absolutely.
Depending on where you're navigating from.
Which is, I mean, I will forgive that, because
it's sort of like forgiving people for depicting space and not navigating across a three-dimensional space.
Right. I forgive all of that because they tried, and they made it beautiful.
Here's your other boyfriend.
Oh, there he is.
That's my son.
Oh,
that is everyone's son.
That's my boy. Father. My boy.
We're father, even though we're a woman.
Indeed. And again, I think Grunt, at first, I was always really mad that it wasn't Rex.
Well, and that was the thing, was that it was just not Rex.
And that was it. But once I got over that and started kind of enjoying Grunt for the character that he was, I really appreciate that he is a no-nonsense character. That he is a very straightforward, very honest, and you know, people talk about fully actualized characters. And he's fully actualized. His character is just that simple.
I am here to kill people and break shit.
Exactly. And I have fun breaking shit and killing people. Honestly, you could not ask for more from a sidekick character. From a side character, from a supporting character, I think. And
yeah, it's sort of like... I hate to say this, and I'm going to piss some people off with this. Wolverine.
Oh, goody.
Wolverine is not a complicated character.
No.
People want him to be complicated,
yes, and I hate that.
And writers in comics try to make it more complicated, but Wolverine is best summed up by his catchphrase.
Yes.
I'm the best at what I do, and what I do isn't nice. And it's sort of like...
if you're Krogan or half the
I
size
liked
you are, we might
I always
get outta
liked
here.
Wolverine when his emotional journey started and began with his time in the X-Men. Because that was when he truly found people he cared about.
Yeah. No, not no.
Before then, he was a soldier, he was a living weapon, he really didn't know his past, and when he did know it, he was kind of disgusted by it.
And much like Grunt, I think Wolverine works best as a supporting character.
Same thing with Javik here.
Yes.
I mean, first off, I brought Javik for this reason only, which was you're the guy who was spraying his splooge all over my room.
I appreciate.
Dude, I could still smell it. Come on, what the hell was in Krogan's spunk?
I would tell you, but it would scare you.
Piss and vinegar. Just piss and vinegar.
I appreciate that Javik is an unapologetic asshole.
He is a product of his time and his circumstance.
And is a beautiful space racist.
Again, he's a product of his time and circumstance. I'm fully open to the idea that maybe the Prothean Empire before the Reaper War was exactly as the Asari ideal as exemplified by Liara was. But Javik was born at the tail end of the cycle.
Right.
At the tail end of the Reapers doing their thing. So, like, he is a product of, I am a being of hatred and rage.
Yep, absolutely, no question. This part here that we're in, that I every time I play through this, every single time, and I don't know why, because I know it's coming, right? I know exactly what's coming, and it gets me every single time. Every time. I don't know why. Every time I feel like there's going to be, I have to go further for the event. Every time I have to do something else for the event. I'm always thinking, well, okay, it's further, like I got to go in here, get a bunch of stuff, and then move further down the line before this event happens.
Oh, just the trailer collapsing.
Yes, absolutely, and that I do not know why it gets. I always think it's further on down the line than it is, and it gets me, and I like it. I like that it gets me.
So what's worse, thinking that something is further down the line and then it jumps up and scares you because you weren't ready for it when it's supposed to happen,
right?
Or something where you think it's going to happen a lot sooner than it was, and you're just like, oh my god, can we get to that thing yet?
I think so it depends on how you define worse. I think that is more disappointing, and it destroys my enjoyment of the game. The one where you're like, oh, I thought it was going to happen here, but it's actually further on down the line, and I gotta wait for it, and I'm not that.
And that's not even the game's fault. Sometimes it's just your memory playing with you, or sometimes you're like following the trope.
Yep. No.
Like if it's a new game and you just like it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when.
That is purely on me. That is purely on me. I'm not putting it on the game.
Well, yeah, your brain's broken. So
I actually like the fact that this gets me every time because I get to enjoy it every single time. And this goes along with the opening to Mass Effect 4, and that's what I'm going to call it. I don't care what anybody says. That gets me every single time, and we'll talk about that later. But
Right behind you, Shepard.
every single time it gets me, and I love it because it's supposed to get you. Like these are the things, and of course you do multiple playthroughs, and certain things stop getting you. But this, I mean, look at it.
oh shit!
Oh, my spleen. Oh.
So there's something I do for Shepard's armor here because we're playing Vanguard, just a little gameplay tip. And I don't know if this works or not, but the Nova ability, the Agatha Christie special, in Vanguard, drains your shields to do extra damage for that area of effect punch. So what I have done is that I have equipped as much armor pieces as possible to maximize shield capacity.
Right.
Because the whole idea is that I think that it's that shield capacity dictates damage, which is why you want to do it with max shields anyway, and that's why one of the charge abilities instantly recharges your shields when you do it.
Right.
Just down the line on how it's evolved. So that was kind of like that gameplay thing, and we're not here for gameplay advice or anything, and I could be completely off my rocker on the mechanics of how it works anyway, but that's just, what was it, a placebo effect.
Yeah. So,
Because normally I actually hate how the shield boosting armor looks, because I don't like those little bulbs.
right. So here we have a situation where we have got a flamethrower.
Horrible gun!
Horrible. Flamethrowers are the worst.
I do like the very Aliens vibe, though, that this gives us.
Oh, this is it. So, anyways, BioWare does a couple of things in the Mass Effect series where they prove to me that if you wanted to do a game in these genres, BioWare could do a really good one. And a zombie horror game. Well,
that's essentially what we get anyway with the Husks.
With the Husk, a zombie horror game, and in this one, it's a straight up Aliens. They could do an Aliens game in this style that would be amazing. But that being said, flamethrowers are terrible in real life. They run out of fuel super quick. They're just lame. However, the joy of sci-fi video games is that things that should be awesome but in real life aren't get to be awesome.
Yeah.
And the flamethrowers in this are just delightful.
Oof.
That is not delightful.
Why does it have pustules?
That is generally my question on life is why does that have pustules?
So, with the Rachni, like pseudo tank creatures, design wise, we haven't talked about this much because so far we've only encountered Husks, Turian Husks, and the big guys.
Right.
So we'll start with the Ravagers, and then in the future we'll talk about other ones. Design wise, what do you think about the Ravagers?
So one of the things that I like about the Rachni is that it shows that there are non-humanoid intelligent alien life forms.
We already got that to a certain extent with the Elcor and
Right. With the Elcor
and the jellyfish.
Yep, and we got that to a certain extent, but I like that. I like that addition to, and I like the fact that the Reapers work with that. That the Reapers come in and they say, "Okay, you're a non-humanoid species, so we're going to make what can we do with that we can't do with a humanoid species? Oh,
we're going to turn you into a weapons platform.
We can make you into a missile platform." And that is, to me, a great kind of game design or whatever, however you're going to put it, that kind of shows the storytelling elements that they're working in, and that at some point where they were writing this, they were going, okay, I'm going to think as this character, and this character is creating these they are augmenting this life form to make it more useful in combat.
All right. Now, here's my thing, and this is not a unique take by any stretch of the imagination. Using the Rachni as the basis for the Ravager Reaper genus was it was not a mistake in its design, in the physical design, nor in the game mechanics. It was a mistake in narrative storytelling because it invalidates your choice in Mass Effect 1. Because if you saved the Rachni Queen, having the Rachni Queen captured and forced to produce Rachni to be turned into Ravagers makes absolute sense. But if you destroyed the Queen, then you have what we will have in this case, and you still have Rachni. I don't like that from a storytelling perspective. And I'm not the only one. I mean, there's been numerous hot takes on here, so I'm not saying that this is a unique take. Here's what I would have done. And this is just me cooking a little bit. the Ravagers should have been based on either Elcor or Volus.
Yeah.
Because first off, that gives the Elcor and Volus more agency within the greater narrative.
Yeah. No.
Because
I see what you're. Yeah. I'm see what you're cooking, and I'm.
now that
On board.
said, we could have a situation involving the Rachni, no matter what, still by having the Reapers building you, because we know that there are Rachni out there aside from the Queen.
Right.
Because you can encounter on at least one planet in Mass Effect 1 a Rachni swarm that's threatening to overrun a Marine position.
That is correct.
So, what I would do is that the Ravagers, again, base them on, like, Volus or Elcor. I would prefer Elcor because the Elcor are walking tanks, and you can also make them bigger.
Right.
And thus much more of a threat, where you only need like 1 or 2 of them in this sort of arena instead of like I think you can face up to 8 of these sumbitches.
Yep.
As they are now, and they're a bigger problem to deal with. And it would justify the presence of like heavy weapons scattered about.
Yep. And I actually agree with pretty much everything you're saying as far as
But the
story
presence of either the original Rachni Queen, if you save them, or the presence of a Reaper laboratory that's trying to resurrect Rachni for a different weapon program.
That would work too.
And the reason why is that we run into another problem with the Rachni, regardless of what happens. Because, and granted, Rachni are as profligate a breeder as Krogan or Mormons, but the so you know, if you kill the Rachni Queen / breeder in this story, you essentially will cut off the supply of new.
Right.
But now you run into a problem of you shouldn't be encountering these things as much as you do.
Right.
Now, God knows how many millions of these things were produced in that time span. I don't know what the rate of reproduction is for a queen, especially if they're being artificially induced.
Yeah, no, and I'm on board with the storytelling elements. I don't mind it maybe as much as some other people do. It doesn't hurt my kind of suspension of disbelief. It's not a bother for me, but that doesn't mean I don't agree with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and keep in mind, I'm of the perspective of, that it doesn't ruin the game, it doesn't ruin the trilogy. Nothing has ever ruined the Mass Effect trilogy for me.
No.
It's one of those things where now that I'm in a position where I'm, like, writing on a semi-professional basis, like, I think about this stuff now. So.
Absolutely. As you should. As you should. Storytelling is and I tell my daughter this all the time because she's a storyteller. That's what she does. There is a difference between people who tell stories and storytellers. And when you're a storyteller, that's what you do. Like, you think in those terms. And there's nothing, that's kind of awesome. It's really awesome for people to do that.
So, like, in terms of the map setup, in terms of the gameplay setup, this is actually a really great loop. And the fact that you're interacting with Grunt and his team here, and you're not just contacted over the radio. You do reunite, and you do see them on other sides of a canyon and a crevasse. They're not just an empty presence over the radio. Is great.
Yeah, well, I love me some Grunt. I love me some Krogan. And so having them around and having them as part of the mission, I think is.
Now the guy, Mass Effect 3 has this tendency. First off, on its default, like, it's amazing how many people quote don't make it on the default setting. So instead, you got these temporary characters, and they almost always die when they're introduced. And the one that's in there is like an ultimate Shepard fanboy. and will get his ass kicked repeatedly throughout this, and is sort of a bad example. With with Morden and the genophage cure, if Morden doesn't survive the suicide mission, you end up with a guy who Joker calls not Morden.
Right.
Paddock Wilkes, I think his name. It's funny.
Yeah. And again, that's one of those situations where I'm like, why would you let that happen, you monster? I mean, other than to do it just to say that you've done it, but ultimately, you know, he's our he's our guy, and so I don't let him die in the suicide mission. I mean, it had to be him.
Someone else would have gotten it wrong.
Exactly.
All right.
And here we have a lovely ambush situation.
Yeah, the I acknowledge that's the Reaper tech that's doing this automatically. It's not the Rachni breeder or the Raptors themselves, and they're protecting their assets, and I get it. It's just sort of, again, because Aliens kind of informs this for me, particularly Ripley's final raid on the Hive to rescue Newt.
Yep.
It kind of like bugs me a little bit. Bug.
Nope. I am.
And the fact that we both went there is why we're friends.
Exactly. No, I am not in disagreement for that. I think that for me, if they had done something more biological, something more squishy, and not had it be something that was there and blocking you that you had to get through or get around,
or have to figure out how to demolish instead of flipping a switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the argument that has been made by a lot of Mass Effect commentators of, and it makes sense why it can't be done here because we're underground. But how many times where it's like, boy, I wish I could call an orbital strike in from the Normandy.
Right. I mean, honestly, in life, I often ask myself,
why can't I just call it an orbital strike?
An orbital strike. I think that I think that the universe has truly failed me by not giving me that option. But
whoosh!
Boom.
From the top rope.
All right, remember, people.
Like the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Remember,
the cream rises to the top.
The most important thing about life, people.
Always be fisting.
I really like how they refined and got to how they were going to do the special.
Apparently I busted that one already.
How they were going to do the special ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because in the first game, it was, okay, you can, it's an add-on you can put on your weapon. All right.
Well,
you know, all right. That's cool, I guess. And you had to keep track of it, and you had to, you know, oh, I got a new one. Is that one better than my old one? And it was just
pain in the ass.
I really prefer this. Hey, it's a special ability that you can make better.
Andromeda did the add-on system even better in that it was something you could rapidly drop in and drop out.
Yeah.
And add to your inventory.
Yeah.
The creepy factor.
What are you?
Oh yeah.
What in the David Cronenberg is this thing?
And here we have the thing that, if you squint, looks like an alien queen.
Yeah, to a certain extent. She's certainly gotten bigger since we last saw her. Although it's not the same one.
No, indeed. I am, at this point, I am for nuking it from orbit.
Oh, it's the only way to be sure. Once again, this is why we're friends.
Indeed. You know, I actually can remember watching that with my best friend in Cape Cod when it first came out on what did it come out on first? On
VHS.
Yes, that's right, because that's how freaking old I am.
You and me both. In my case, what it was that Alien 3 was coming out, and I saw a trailer for it, and it looked freaking awesome. And
it was. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, I'll defend Alien 3 in my dying breath.
Dying breath.
And that is despite the fact that its production was a shit show.
We'll die on that hill with you, brother.
But in order, I was too young to go to a rated R movie at the time, and my mom said, okay, well, or no, it was my dad saying, okay, but if you're gonna do that, you got to watch Aliens first. Okay, why? Well, you got to see what's going on. Do I have to watch Alien 2? Well, I want you to watch Alien 2. I thought you wanted to watch me to watch Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so so I did. So he rented it from the local store, and like I made it like 3/4 way through it, and then I fell asleep because I was a kid, and it was like
Yeah,
late at night, and
absolutely.
so didn't get to see Alien 3 in theaters, unfortunately. Had to wait till again VHS.
Copy that, grunt.
Funny thing about the Alien series, actually, my oldest son and I are actually doing a playthrough of the video game Alien Isolation right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Alien Isolation was like what started the YouTube career thing for Jen and I. Career, I'm not making money off this shit. But
We're not getting paid?
we're not getting paid.
Uh,
So anyway,
That thing's in pain, and even if it weren't, I don't think
when we were first doing Alien Isolation, my wife and I 10 years ago, the alien did what the alien does and tail through the chest, and I looked down and it was just like, I got a big black thing sticking out of my belly, and I am not your ex-wife.
nice.
I think my wife made that joke too about your ex-wife. So
It would make sense.
anyway, so
Too dangerous.
we're
We're done here.
what we're implying is that his ex-wife cheated on him with a black guy.
More than one.
Anyway, and while we were recording it, and the tail goes through, and the alien kills us, and I hear this little boy from behind the couch go, "Wow, cool!" And we just say, "Victor, how long you been there?" "I don't know." "What's the first thing you remember?" "You were going through the doctor's office." "That was 3 hours ago." And so, like, that started his lifelong love affair with the Alien franchise. And then, so now 10 years later, we're doing Alien Isolation, he and I together,
Really kind of cool.
to do what you and I are doing with Mass Effect right now, which is kind of talk about alien movies and what we love and horror movies in general. Last summer, for his 15th birthday, there was a documentary about aliens called Aliens Expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this whole like pseudo Kickstarter thing, and I contributed to that. My son now has an IMDb page
Nice.
because I made him an associate producer of that documentary as one of the rewards.
Very nice.
In addition to a copy of the movie and some posters and a shirt and stuff.
Very
So-
nice. And this, by the way, also always gets me.
Grunt being awesome.
Grunt being Grunt. I absolutely love it, and nowadays I'm sure somebody has cut this scene with the Like a Prayer, with the choral version of Like a Prayer, because that's what people are doing nowadays. And I ain't mad at it.
When you call my name, it's like I'm already there.
I ain't mad, and there he goes, taking them all with him because he's a badass, and that's how it goes. I do not know the equation they use.
So whether Grunt lives or dies?
Yeah.
It's very simple. Complete his loyalty mission in 2.
I was unaware that was what did it.
Yep. He completed his loyalty mission at 2, our baby boy survives.
Oh, that's
Although
our-
he is very hungry, because if you do a lot of killing, and I'm gonna guess by all of the blood that he did a lot of killing,
Our baby boy did all the killing.
then you're going to be hungry.
Indeed.
You're gonna want a snack later.
Indeed. Hey, look, you deserve a snack, my guy.
We're gonna take you to McDonald's, get you some chicken nuggets and some choco milk.
That's right. And you get the extra large fry.
Yeah.
Oh, and
I
here
don't
we
care
go.
that McDonald's hasn't supersized since Morgan Spurlock committed that fraud.
Oh, such fraud. Such fraud. Oh, don't
Like-
even get me started on that nonsense.
Like, don't get me wrong, his thesis was a good thesis, but the movie was bullshit.
Yeah. No, and his thesis wasn't. It was that his hypothesis was not a bad hypothesis. It was that the scientific experiment didn't prove his hypothesis. It's that he went into it trying to prove something, and that was the only data he showed. But anyways, besides,
He started from his conclusion. So anyway, we've got,
It was bloody, Rex.
yeah, Grunt is alive, and we will see more of him later.
yes, I love me some grunt.
Rex is feeling restless, which means that we will be going to Tuchanka to
Yes,
have a little party.
yes,
They pose too big a risk.
yes. To Tuchanka.
But before we do the thing that we're going to do, we're going to be doing something else first, just to make sure that our actions will not be undermined. We need all of the dividends to be paid. So
Indeed. But we also, Tuchanka is, I mean, besides the fact that it's full of sexy, beautiful
Something
Krogan,
wrong?
there's also,
speaking of sexy, beautiful Krogan, poor Rex here. His tissue sample. What do you think Morden took? I think it was the foreskin of one of his 3 penises.
I agree, actually. I think there was a circumcision involved. Because
How many penises do you think a Krogan has?
they
They have 4 testicles. Is it a 2-to-1 ratio?
I believe it's probably a 2-to-1 ratio. And I think that
Apparently Klingons have 2 penises,
it's true.
which means that they're very suitable for your ex-wife.
It's, I mean, no question, they are her favorite Star Trek species.
Or everyone's favorite Star Trek species.
This is true. This is absolutely true.
I don't like Ferengi. I like Quark.
Yes, thank you. I like his brother Rom too.
Rom isn't a Ferengi though. Rom is Rom.
Rom is Rom, and his son, and his nephew,
Nog.
Nog. I also
Well,
like,
Nog is a
like that
badass
family.
motherfucker. Remember in Deep Space Nine when Nog went Rambo on a bunch of
I do.
yeah, it cost him his leg, but he did it.
I do, and it did, and I love the fact that he gets brought back for Star Trek Online. For those of you that play that game,
Well, he becomes an admiral.
he does.
Yeah.
Good times. Speaking of good times,
We took out the nest. It's no longer a problem.
we have completed this mission, which is
Yep, just doing some cleanup in the
yeah.
the
And-
Normandy.
And I actually learned something today that I'm very happy with, which is the equation that keeps
Why is he
Grunt
even asking
alive,
questions
which I
about
did not know
authority or
before.
It's very simple.
I tried asking the R questions about the sorry bond
The
process.
structurally this mission is great.
Nobody's
The underlying writing purposes of it has some errors in it that are
Yeah,
hard to reconcile, but we got to live with because we didn't make the game.
we didn't tell the story. Absolutely, it's not our. It's we're along for the ride, which is a great ride, and I love it.
Yeah, it's always the case when it's always easy to Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
Decision making.
Yeah.
In the right that came out of a production, whether it's a movie or a video game or whatnot.
Absolutely.
When you're in the meetings and whatnot, and the whether it's the group think or whether it's the stress of the situation, and trying to meet your deadlines and whatnot, some things are just not going to be thought of at the time, and then people will go. I mean, you've had that situation where it's like you're just wandering around minding your own business, and you had this conversation like 6 hours ago, and then just all of a sudden, I should have thought of that.
Well, that's basically my life. Honestly, that's just basically my life because my brain is a little bit slow.
And that was before you got brained by a stage light.
Absolutely, that was before I got my last concussion. Yeah, I mean,
Where is Garrus?
that's a
He's
really
not
good
calibrating.
question. Why is Garrus not calibrating?
He's in the lounge. So
Unacceptable. Get back to your calibrations.
So, anyway, as you saw at the beginning of this video, we've got Rex had a mission for us to check on our baby boy. And in our next video, we are going to have not Victorian, Victus give us a mission to check on his baby boy.
Indeed,
So,
indeed. We're all about. The last game was all about handling daddy issues, and once again, we are handling daddy issues.
So, yeah, so we'll check you next time as we go to Tuchanka and we take care of some business. So until then, I'm JP Arbiter.
And I'm Captain Jack.
And we'll see you next time, kids.
Deuces.
Just one word, Shepard. Grunt. There'll be a lot more dead Reapers now. Killing that Rachni mutation was a good call, Shepard. It's a safer galaxy for not having that thing on the loose. Most people have never even seen a Rachni. The Normandy, we're a regular safari tour. If I never see another spider again, I'll die a contented Turian. Unless they have spiders in the afterlife. Damn. Maybe later.